Hey fantasy fans, welcome back. It's Dan here with TREEBEARD'S Book Reviews, and today we're going on with the list 20 to 11. Pretty pumped to get this one. This hopefully should be a little bit faster than the ones that were doing 20. And I'm going to be recording 10 to 1 right after this, so this should be coming out just a few days later too. So let's get into this list, 20 to number 11. Big shout out to all my patrons. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. And a big shout out to my Old Man Willow tier, Paul, Powell, and Norbert. Your support means everything. Thank you. And guys, if you've been watching this whole series and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. The little buttons down there below. It really helps with the channel. But other than that, let's get into this list. So number 20, Terry Pratchett, Feet of Clay. So Feet of Clay, I guess it's the third book in the City Watch. And I'm just kind of looking up here in my list here. Ooh, there might be, there's another City Watch book that's higher than this one. But this is probably my second favorite City Watch book, and man, is it good. It's, again, just playing on those themes. There's a little bit of a play on the theme again of, like, who should be the king and kings of Ankh-Morpork. But it doesn't, like, overstay its welcome. It's not as bad as, like, in the first and the second book. And this is really where that theme kind of starts to go away. But this book, Feet of Clay, is about golems. And it's really good, really emotional. So the golems kind of, not rise up, but I can't give any spoilers, really, because it's the third book. Again, you could read all the Discworld out of order and still really enjoy it. But this book is absolutely wonderful. You know, more Sam Vimes, more City Watch, more the guards you love. This one's a very emotional story. And actually, there's a new character that gets added to the Watch. Cheery Littlebottom, and she is awesome. She's one of my favorite characters in all of Discworld, one of my favorite characters in the City Watch. Wonderful, wonderful book. I can't wait to read this one again, too. So, number 20, Feet of Clay. Alright, so number 19, Back to the Wheel of Time. I recently reread this year, because we're doing the Great Wheel of Time reread, and that is The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. This is book 2 in the Wheel of Time. I really like this book. This one is definitely a step up for me than The Eye of the World. This is the book where it stops becoming like, because everyone complained with The Eye of the World, oh, it's a bit of a Tolkien ripoff. Well, it had to be at the time to get published, right? And so when it gets into book 2, Robert Jordan's like, hey, gloves are off. We're doing Wheel of Time now. We're not doing Tolkien ripoff. I really like it because Rand gets the character development that he like sorely needed. Because we know what happens to Rand at the end of book 1. You know who he is, and Rand has to be convinced who he is. So great book. I love it. The Great Hunt, one of my favorite. I think it is it's not my favorite Wheel of Time book. There's another one on here, or maybe two, but yeah. So number 19, The Great Hunt, and number 18, another Pratchett. Like I said, this Pratchett, I haven't read all Pratchett, right? So there's probably going to be, like, I think there's probably 50 Pratchett, like 50 mix of Pratchett and like Wheel of Time on here. So half my list is probably Wheel of Time and Pratchett because they're just my favorite books, my favorite authors. So number 18 is Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a staple of my list here. I love Robert Jordan. I love Terry Pratchett. I've probably read 30 Discworld books. I've read all the Wheel of Time books. So there's going to be a smattering of them on there. But actually, they're saying that they're not. There's a few Discworld books that I've read that didn't make my top 100. So, but yeah, number 18, Hogfather is my favorite of the Death series. Pretty much the Hogfather is like a ripoff of Father Christmas. Instead of Christmas Day or Christmas night or Christmas Eve, it's Hog's Watch night. And instead of leaving out cookies and biscuits, they leave out like a pork pie and some like port wine. But the Hogfather's gone missing. And that's a bad thing for the Discworld because the Discworld exists on belief and fantasy and wonderful things like that. So the Hogfather, one of my favorite Discworld books, is super high on this list. And I'm just going to look at my list here. There's a few more Discworld books, but it's not going to be like the running. Well, there's a few more. There's probably like 3 or 4 more. Let's be real. But it's a wonderful book, Hogfather. If you haven't read it, just read it. You could start here easily with Discworld. And like I said in one of these other videos too, if you read Hogfather or wherever you start with Discworld, tends to be your favorite book for some reason. But yeah, Hogfather, number 18. And as I said that, there's going to be more Discworld. Yeah, like the next book, number 17. This is my favorite book in the City Watch. This book is like Les Mis meets Back to the Future. That's pretty much it. It's a really dark Discworld book. It's Night Watch. This book is... I don't like the phrase emotional roller coaster, but goddamn, it's an emotional roller coaster. It's a really, really good book. It's just a pure Sam Vimes focus piece, where Sam Vimes, there's something happening on the disc that causes a lot of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff, and it affects Sam Vimes, and he gets sent 30 years into the past, and it's a really different Ankh-Morpork, a really different time to be a watchman. And a very dangerous time to be a watchman. And so Sam Vimes gets sent back in time, and he gets to train himself. It's so good. This book is unbelievable how good it is. It's Terry's swan song, probably one of Terry's best books. It's so high on my list. Number 17, Night Watch. Phenomenal book. So, yeah. Read it, Night Watch. Amazing. Best City Watch book. I mean, I haven't read Snuff, but I don't think that's ranked nowhere near the top. So, and I like Night Watch better than Thud, and a lot of people think Thud's better, but Thud's pretty damn good too. So they're all good. They're all good. But yeah, number 17 is Night Watch. Okay, number 16, it's more Robert Jordan. I know, guys, we're gonna get past all this soon. It's the next one is different, I promise. So number 16, Knife of Dreams. This is the last book Robert Jordan wrote, and what a heck of a book to go out on. If you're gonna go out on, if you're gonna pass away as an author, and you write Knife of Dreams is your last book. That's a heck of a book to go out on. It's because there's that, like I said, the Wheel of Time hits a slog point. Like, it's there, but it's not bad. It's really just Robert Jordan doing a bit more world building, and just enjoying the world he's writing. But when it gets to Knife of Dreams, he just turns this dial, and it just puts you right back into sweating, and just a lot of emotional highs in this one, and emotional lows, especially for the main crew, and for Rand. Like I said, this is his best book. This is Robert Jordan's. Well, no, it's not his best book, or it's not his. Okay, it's probably his best book, but it's not my favorite of the Wheel of Time books. So yeah, that's a weird way to put it, but it is. That's how I put it. It's definitely his best book, Knife of Dreams, that he wrote. That's his best writing, but it's not my favorite. So, but it's so high. It's number 16 on this list. So, yeah, Knife of Dreams, unreal book. Number 15 is The Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. Half-Blood Prince is my favorite Harry Potter book. It's the best one in the series, hands down. It's so good. It's so good, just mainly for the flashbacks that are happening in it, the development of Harry, you see more of Dumbledore. Dumbledore is my favorite character in all of Harry Potter universe. And I just love more Dumbledore. I really like Voldemort as a character. I really like to see why he is the way he is. So, and yeah, Harry's it's not as bad. There's a little bit of teenage angst going on because there's relationships happening at this stage in the books. But other than that, this is a fantastic Harry Potter book. Very dark. A lot of just things get revealed. Harry becomes a lot more competent too. So I really love it. It's that turning point where the characters are no longer, they stop being children and they become adults after this book. And it's this book that is just a huge turning point in the whole series that is getting right up to the ending. I love the Half-Blood Prince. When I lived in England for a couple years, and I had to commute. I had to take the tube, and I had to take buses to get to work. And when we moved to England, I didn't have any books. Left all my books behind, or I pretty much got rid of them. I had to re-get all my books since we moved back from England. But what I had was my iPod with, dating myself, I had an iPod, not like an iPhone. I had an iPod with like all the Harry Potter audiobooks on them, and that's what I would do. I would just listen to those. I would just listen to them on my commutes because I had nothing else. I had no other audiobooks, didn't have an Audible subscription at the time. I was like just out of university. I was broke, and so I had these audiobooks, and that's all I did. I listened to Harry Potter, and I loved them. I absolutely adored them. And I always looked forward when I got around to the Half-Blood Prince because it was my favorite book. So, yeah, number 15, Half-Blood Prince. Number 14, so this is a new one that I added last year, and that is Excalibur by Bernard Cornwell. This is the third book in the Winter King trilogy. So this book is just following the life of Durthal and Arthur. And to say it's a one book, it's really it's one book that's broken into a trilogy, kind of like Lord of the Rings. It's absolutely wonderful. You get to see the final act of Arthur's life, or potentially his life, or the end of his life, and the end of Durthal's life too. Because like I said, this is Durthal is telling his own story. He's recounting his tale. He's an old man at this time. And you get to live when you begin this book, Durthal's a child, or the series, Durthal's a child, and in this end of this book, you get to see him be an old man and face his mortality. And wow, this is a good book. This is just, it really comes full circle, with the characters you meet: Nimue, Merlin, Arthur, Galahad. But just Bernard Cornwell is just a masterful storyteller. And he just does absolutely amazing world building where it's just little simple things. And you just fall in love with it. So yeah, I absolutely love this book. Excalibur, Winter King. You need to read it. It's amazing. All right, number 13. We are getting to Christopher Rocchio. This is my second favorite book in his series, in the Sun Eater series, and that is Howling Dark. I love Howling Dark. This is the one where, I liked Empire of Silence, but I wasn't sold on the series when I first read it. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I don't think it's mind-blowing, but the first book was really good. Very enjoyable. He paid a lot of homage to series I've loved and read, like Dune, Star Wars. Just and Christopher Rocchio is not ashamed of showing his influence. He's like, yeah, I love these series. I've read them. I'm paying homage to them. But then when it gets to Howling Dark, man, I could never predict that guy after this book. It went so kind of weird and trippy in parts. You just get this, more depth of Hadrian, more depth of other characters that support Hadrian, like Valka and Polino. You meet a very menacing villain in the second book, but not menacing, but just clever and competent and alien, but not alien, and it's so well done. And the ending of this book, so this is that book where I got to 80% and I was like, holy crap, I cannot put this book down now until I finish. And I find now as a reader, I can stop a book whenever. It could be in the height of an action point, and I'll just put a book down and walk away. I don't know, maybe it's just the way my brain's wired now. I don't care if there's a super intense point, but Howling Dark and most of the Sun Eater, when something crazy is happening, I can't put it down. I have to know what happens. So that's been the only series for me, I guess, in the last little bit, where I couldn't put it down. Okay, number 12. So what was this? The second last one. Number 12 is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is a fantastic book. This is, the first few books in the Stormlight Archive, well, the first two books are breathtaking. They're so good. Breath of fresh air. Just Brandon at his best. This is how he succeeds, right? He writes these massive novels that are 1,200 pages that read just like butter, and you finish them in a couple days. It's amazing how easy these read and how big books they are and how much he crams into them. Shallan's not my favorite character. I've said this many times. I really don't like Shallan. She could die in a fire for all I care. But the flashbacks were okay. I was able to survive them, and that, to say that I don't like Shallan, and this is Shallan's book, really, especially because it's her backstory. and I just love it so much. Like the end, like he's just that Sanderlanche at the end of this one, unreal. Like, and also like with Kaladin too, it almost has a little bit of Spider-Man 2 moments, but I really like it. Just it's Brandon Sanderson doing what he's good at, and it's just writing very cinematic fantasy with really cool magic and characters you kind of like. So yeah, it's been done great. So number 11. This is gonna shock people, and you're like, oh, you're the guy who doesn't like Game of Thrones. Like, no, I love Game of Thrones. Nobody, like, you didn't listen to my video. I don't like the last book. I don't like Dance with Dragons. Number 11 is Storm of Swords, and I think that's the last last Game of Thrones book on here. Storm of Swords, it's awesome. It's like the pinnacle of Game of Thrones. Like, it peaked at Storm of Swords, and it just hasn't captured that that magic really since, right? And I think it's because, Game of Thrones through Storm of Thrones were written within like a 6-year period, and they just kept getting longer and longer when he wrote Feast of Crows, and I think he wrote the first 3 in the same time, less or half the time like it took him to write like books 4. But like Storm of Swords, like this book is like all gas and no brakes. Like some of my favorite characters, Tywin, Tyrion, the stuff going down the wall, that's crazy. This is a fantastic book. I would like to reread Game of Thrones, but I don't see it happening. I just unless the new book comes out, even then, like, I don't really want to read it. I don't want to put myself through that. So yeah, but honestly, Storm of Swords, I'm just remembering it with the nostalgia I had when I read it, I guess over a decade ago now. How good it was, and it still sticks with me in moments in that book. And I read it before like the seasons of the show came out, and I was just waiting for people to enjoy certain parts of that book. But yeah, like the Red Wedding, Purple Wedding, like just unreal book, like Storm of Swords. So that's it, guys. We made it 20 to 11. The next one's gonna be coming out soon. I'm gonna record it right after this, so you don't have to wait too long. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one.